In episode 28, Ye Zhu called out,
Look out.
Already on high alert, Tian Qi and the other two dodged swiftly, avoiding the flying tombstone. As the tombstone flew up, the half-emerged body of a skeleton was revealed in the pit beneath. Just look at that perfectly intact skeleton. This is no ordinary half-ribbed trash mob. At that very moment, the system message solemnly announced, "You have entered the resting place of the skeleton warrior."
Finally, we found it.
What's the plan?
Tian Qi and the others quickly asked. The skeleton warrior, still half-buried, shot from its lair like a rocket, showcasing its formidable leaping power. In mid-air, he stretched his skeletal frame, the dust of ages clinging to his bones cascading down like a sudden rain. In his hand, he swung a massive broken sword, a blade as tall as a man.
Oh no.
What's wrong?
Forgot to check the guide.
The three of them were speechless. This guy was a total miracle.
Let me go take a look for you.
Mu Yunshen shouted.
No way. If that hits you, you're dead.
As Ye Shu spoke, the skeleton warrior's leaping strike hit the ground. The impact shook the earth, sending out a massive shockwave. Qin Shengli, who was a bit too slow, was sent sprawling face first by the shockwave's blast. The skeleton warrior's dark, hollow eye sockets swept across the scene, as if searching for its next target.
Hey, someone pull aggro. I need to check the guide.
Mu Yunshen said.
No need.
Ye Shu said, taking off his headset and turning to call out.
Hey boss. Boss.
What is it?
Chen Guo's fingers flew across the keyboard, responding without looking up.
Look up a guide for me.
A guide? What guide?
The skeleton warrior strategy.
Ye Shu controlled Lord Grimm with one hand, pointing at the screen with the other. Chen Guo's head nearly smashed into the screen again.
You're only looking up the guide now, after you've already run into the boss? What were you doing all this time?
Forgot.
Ye Shu's answer was so plain and unadorned that Chen Guo couldn't find any fault with it. Chen Guo was just queuing up to snag a monster, not the least bit tense. He quickly alt-tabbed out of the game, searched for a guide to the skeleton graveyard online, and asked Ye Shu as he clicked it open.
Which boss was it again?
The skeleton warrior. Mainly figuring out how to guarantee a drop of his sword.
His sword? 100% drop rate?
For Chen Guo, the last time she was at the right level for this dungeon was 5 years ago. He at least knew about the side sword, as he'd occasionally come back to help newbies, and had an impression of the thing. But he was completely unaware that the guide contained such information. After all, his memories were mostly of using his main account to steamroll everything, with no need to consult any guides.
There is. Just use that as your search term.
Ye Shu answered with absolute confidence. He couldn't recall the specifics, but he was certain such a thing existed after all. He was the one who wrote it. Chen Guo quickly added keywords like skeleton warrior's sword and 100% to her search. This time, the results popped right up. The post was dated 10 years ago. Chen Guo clicked on it and saw,
Oh, it's a post written by Ye Chio.
the author's name was none other than One Autumn Leaf. This was no secret in the Glory community. Everyone knew that even before the professional league existed, when Glory was just a pure online game, Yi Chu, under that ID, was already a famous top player. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been so eagerly recruited as a pro player the moment the pro league was established.
Right, that one. Check how many hits it takes to strike the sword's ring clasp.
Huh?
Chen Guo had never seen this post before, and had no idea what Ye Chu was talking about. She quickly skimmed through it, and actually found exactly what he was asking about.
24 hits, with annotated diagrams of the effective areas. Want to see them?
Zoom in, let me see.
Chen Guo opened the image and zoomed in to the max.
Hey, look.
Then Ye Shu snapped his head around with lightning speed, paused for barely a second, and whipped it back.
Done looking?
Yeah,
What else do you need?
not necessary.
Ye Shu spoke, recalling that there was indeed a requirement for physical attack power. He couldn't remember the exact number, but with the myriad manifestations Umbrella's 180 physical attack, plus his strength attribute, he was confident Lord Grimm would meet the standard.
Tian Qi, move left. Mu Yunshen, circle around the back. Qian Shengli, fall back a bit. The next shockwave will hit you.
Ye Shu began directing the other three into position, while he himself moved to the front, searching for an opening to strike. The four of them had only been dodging. Without Ye Shu's command, none of them attacked. Tian Qi and the others thought Ye Shu was looking for a strategy to defeat the skeleton warrior. They had no idea he didn't need any guide for that. What he was after was the method to guarantee a 100% drop rate for the ornamental sword. This sword is purely a decorative accessory. It doesn't affect a character's combat stats at all. That's why there's a method to guarantee its drop, but it requires incredibly high skill to pull off. Chen Guo had already put down his own game and was now standing behind Ye Shu. He was determined to see just how Ye Shu would manage to hit that tiny buckle 24 times in a row. Chen Guo had read the guide. The clasp was located on the skeleton warrior's waist, a small, square component. From the current in-game perspective, at a distance of less than 2 meters, it was practically impossible to spot. Yet Ye Shu had already steered Lord Grimm forward to meet it. During his healing of the four, the skeleton warrior had long since locked Lord Grimm as its primary aggro target. Lord Grimm had been dodging left and right, while Tianqi and the other two had been circling around the periphery. They were just waiting for Ye Shu to finish reading the guide so they could follow his command and attack. But after Ye Shu had studied the guide, his arrangement for the three of them was to position them even farther away. They had no idea what he was planning, but they had no choice but to follow orders. Seeing Lord Grimm charge to meet the skeleton warrior, the three of them tensed up. It was finally starting. The skeleton warrior charged forward, its bones grinding with a heavy, grating sound. Ye Shu directed Lord Grimm to meet it head-on, but his gaze was fixed solely on the creature's waist. Chen Guo, standing behind him, noticed this. Putting this into practice is way harder than the guide made it seem. The guide had a clear, zoomed-in screenshot of the clasp. But in actual combat, this skeleton warrior is all wobbly, and its movements keep unintentionally blocking the view of the thing. The skeleton warrior was tall and lanky. When it was still 2 meters away from Lord Grimm, it had already raised its greatsword. Yet Ye Shu remained unperturbed. In terms of attack speed, his myriad manifestations umbrella had a rating of 5, far surpassing the greatsword's typical, sluggish rating of 1. And in terms of reach, that massive greatsword of the skeleton warriors was no match for a long weapon like a battle spear. With a steady push of his mouse, Ye Shu sent Lord Grimm's spear thrusting forward. Striking later but arriving first, a dragon tooth hit its mark. As the skeleton warrior was briefly stunned, Lord Grimm closed the distance and launched a sky strike. The skeleton warrior was heavier than the Dark Knight Cat Demon, but not as heavy as those big-bellied spider bosses from the Spider Cave. Launched by the sky strike, it rose to a middling height. Lord Grimm followed through with a sweeping strike of his spear, and a sharp shing rang out. This strike produced a sound completely different from the earlier clacks against the skeleton warrior's dry bones.
A direct hit.
Chen Guo cried out excitedly from behind Ye Shu.
Just once.
Ye Shu answered casually. With a flick of his fingers, Lord Grimm's battle spear finished its upward sweep, then spun around for a downward slash. The skeleton warrior, still reeling from the sky strike, was hit with a follow-up sweeping attack. Another sharp clang rang out as the blow landed squarely on the buckle at its waist. Not getting greedy, Ye Shu immediately pulled Lord Grimm back after landing those 2 hits. As the fallen skeleton warrior pushed itself up from the ground, a small shockwave rippled out in a full 360-degree blast. To prevent shameless players from endlessly juggling them with knockdown and ground sweep combos, most bosses have this trick up their sleeve, a shockwave attack when they get back up. Chen Guo watched from behind. The sword had already struck the ring twice. At first, she felt happy for Ye Shu's auspicious start, but upon reflection, she realized that landing 2 precise hits on such a tiny ring in the blink of an eye was actually a terrifying display of skill. In that moment of stunned silence, another sharp clang rang out. Lord Grimm's leap back was perfectly timed, landing him just at the very edge of the rising shockwave. The moment the attack passed, Ye Shu was already commanding Lord Grimm to charge forward once more. The spearhead struck the ring dead center. The skeleton warrior flipped its hands and unleashed an upward slash, but Lord Grimm had just rolled backward, the great sword seeming to graze past his body. The 3 onlookers, Tianqi and the others, couldn't even tell if that sword strike had actually hit Lord Grimm. They only realized from the shared health and mana values in their party list that the blow had been dodged completely.